What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. The Sinnoh region is making a comeback, getting two high-profile releases just a few months apart. And personally, this place is one of my favorites, with all of the cities being so familiar, and some of the best nature that we've seen in the Pokemon world. But of course, another winning aspect of the Gen 4 region is the starter Pokemon. And really, there's not a bad choice as far as being able to carry your team throughout the game. I've outlined my ideal team for the Sinnoh region before, but what if those aren't available? Well, let's see what might make up the best team if you were to pick each of the different starters. So let's be honest, the most likely outcome is that most people will pick Infernape. It's not my first choice, but I can understand the allure. It's strong, and it's sudden, and it's cruel sometimes, but it is indeed a terror. Lots of powerful fire and fighting stab moves lead it to be effective against pretty much half of the game, and even the first gym if you grind hard enough. And of course, this flaming monkey has lots of great coverage moves as well, but I'll let you decide which specific ones to use based on your playstyle. So, as fun as it might be for some people to only use their starter, as a fire and fighting type Pokemon, Infernape is weak to water, ground, flying, and psychic, so it will need help in some areas. And the first obvious addition to the team would be Staraptor. Not only is this an amazingly strong bird Pokemon to help you not care about the ground types, but it's one that you can find almost immediately from the start. This is either the first or second Pokemon that you'll come across in the wild, and can be best friends with your starter. Also, I'm not sure how the HMs will work in these remakes. I'd like to think that they won't take up move slots, but if it is in the classic style, you're going to want a good flyer, and maybe even defogger, while also getting fun tools like Aerial Ace, Close Combat, Brave Bird, or even U-Turn. So to help cover Infernape's other weaknesses, Weavile would be perfect. It beats both flying and psychic, but is also even stronger and faster than the starter with its dark and ice type skills. It's not quite as sturdy, and it might take a little longer to actually find one, but it's worth it to fill out your team, and will definitely help you in the late game, and for sure help in the Elite Four. Another early adopter that could be good for you is the Luxray family, which is solid in many respects. Hopefully they'll learn some of those better attacks a bit earlier this time around, but even so, it's a great physical electric type to take on water and flying opponents. And it is yet another team member that you can get before the first major town. Some people might find it mediocre in battle, so you could trade it out for Electivire or Jolteon once you get a bit further in the region, but it is a nice aspect to contribute to the full Sinnoh experience. Water is always a prime addition to any team, with few weaknesses but plenty of offensive power, so here you will likely find a Weavile to join your team. There are some other choices like Gastrodon or even a Gyarados, but Floatzel is one of the best pure water types out there, and probably the best one that isn't a starter Pokemon. It's got fantastic coverage like Ice Fang, Aqua Jet, or Crunch, all naturally through Level Up, with even more by TMs or tutors. So this speedy Weasel will surely be a valuable member of your team to pick up in the mid-game. The last spot is kind of hard to determine because there are just so many great options. Do we use Garchomp, Gallade, Drapion, or the fossils? Well, personally, I would say Roserade might be the best. Number 1, it would probably be good to get a special attacker in here since the rest of the team is mainly physical, but it blossoms into an amazing Pokemon, with either attacks like Sludge Bomb or Weather Ball, or perhaps more supportive moves like Toxic Spikes or Leech Seed. Not to mention, this is another Pokemon that you can find very early on in your travels, so it'll have plenty of time to gain the required happiness level. It might take longer to find a shiny stone to reach its full potential, but you'll want to wait and be sure that Roselia learns all the best moves first anyway. But an added bonus is that its poison side can help handle Fairy, which wasn't in the Sinnoh region the last time we were there, so you'll be wise to have some precautions for it. You can at least try it out, and if it doesn't float your boat, you can always switch it out later for one of those other Pokemon. Now, this is by no means an exhaustive list. You obviously can succeed with different configurations, but this is a decent spread of some of the more powerful and easily available Pokemon that you can find in the Sinnoh region. That being said, what if you're like me? Because I can assure you I will not be picking a Chimchar, so what about the other two? Like if you pick Turtwig instead, some things would be different. It ends up being a ground type after all, so that adds to its versatility. But you probably wouldn't want to double down on grass types, so it can replace Roserade. But at the same time, the starter is also replaced, so our fire type will be gone, and we'll need to fill that in as well. My recommendation would be Houndoom, who is a strong fiery canine that can be a bonus to just about any team. Now you might say, Houndoom wasn't available in Diamond and Pearl, and you would be right. But we've already seen things have changed this time around, since Houndoom was specifically shown to be obtainable in the secret Pokemon dens that they've added to the Underground. So I'm not sure how easy that will be to make it happen, but at least it's a possibility now. Houndoom also has the further bonus of adding the Dark type, so that sort of makes Weavile redundant. You can still keep them both, don't get me wrong, but we also lost our fighting type when we swapped starters, so I would say Lucario might be a good bet. On top of the fighting, it's also got the coveted steel type resistances, as well as a host of great coverage moves, and it can perform as a mixed attacker just like Infernape can. And I'm sure that they won't pass up the chance to give us that Riolu egg at the very least, if not some other new method to find it sooner. The rest of the team can likely stay the same from before, and like we said, there are other permutations that are allowed, but this setup would likely be one of the best ways to support your excellent choice of Torterra. After all, you don't want to double down on quad ice weaknesses. But if you've got refined taste like me, you'll hold out for the best of these starters, Empoleon. We talked about Steel's defensive prowess, but combined with water, it creates one of the best type combinations in the game, resulting in 10 resistances and immunity and only 3 weaknesses. Granted, they are pretty common weaknesses, but one of them's ground, which the water easily takes care of, not to mention the steel moves and flying and ice coverage. So how can the rest of the team best adapt to support the Emperor's needs? Well, firstly, we can shelve Floatzel as a repeat, and bring back in our Roserade friend. But I'd also say that Houndoom should go, since we don't exactly need to pile on the fighting weakness, so instead I would say that we should go with the Fire-type Rapidash. Back in the day, this flaming horse was the only Fire-type option we had, but it worked pretty well, with some neat coverage available like Mega Horn and Solar Beam. Plus, you can find it right before the Grass-type gym, and carry it on to use in the Steel and Ice-type ones later, too. But since Empoleon is Steel, I think we can forego Lucario as well, and it's not a one-for-one, but I would say Mamoswine would be a good fit on this team. Ground is always a plus, but it's also a great way to counteract this Metallic Penguin's weakness to Electric. Furthermore, its ice would be able to take out some fellow ground types, even if it is also weak to fighting, but hey, that's what the rest of the team is for, right? This probably wouldn't be available until you get up in the icy areas near the top, but it will be worth the wait for this prehistoric pachyderm. So those are my recommendations for the teams in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, depending on which starter you pick. As I said, there are plenty of worthwhile choices that could make up a team in the Sinnoh region, but these are some tried and true options that are battle-proven in these specific scenarios. But if you do lose with this layout, don't blame me, because there are no shortage of team formations that you could use in the new Sinnoh remakes. So, how will you build your team for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!